Welcome curious minds and sleepy thinkers. You've found a soft place to land where the questions are big and the pace is slow enough not to jolt you out of your pillow cocoon. Tonight, we're going to gently explore one of the most mysterious connections ever woven: the profound relationship between our eternal companion in the night sky, the moon, and our very lives here on Earth, a bond we are only just beginning to truly grasp. But do not worry, we will take it slowly. This is not a race through equations or a lecture filled with daunting scientific jargon. It is more like floating through a galaxy of ideas with a cup of chamomile tea in hand, allowing our minds to wander and ponder. Let the whispers of the moon guide us into a quiet journey of discovery. Let us drift into this idea slowly, like a gentle leaf falling onto a still pond. The moon. Our constant companion has hung in the night sky since the very dawn of time, a serene silver orb quietly circling our Earth at a distance of approximately 384,000 kilometers. It is not merely a distant celestial object. It is a mirror reflecting humanity's long history and boundless curiosity, an entity that scientists have diligently studied for thousands of years, tirelessly attempting to decipher its enigmatic rhythms and predictable patterns. Imagine for a moment the ancient civilizations long before the invention of modern timekeeping. They possessed no precise clocks, no convenient wall calendars, no instant weather apps on their handheld devices. Yet, they possessed the moon. With its consistent, unfailing motions, the moon became humanity's first grand timepiece, a supremely dependable instrument for marking the steady passage of time within the earliest calendars. Its rhythmic pulse, so reliable and true, served as an invaluable guide, helping ancient farmers know precisely when the optimal time arrived to sow their precious crops and when to gather their abundant harvests. It was in essence a cosmic symphony, quietly orchestrating the cycles of their agrarian lives. And then there are the moon's ever-changing faces: the glorious full moon, the slender crescent, the elusive new moon, the bulging gibbous. These were not simply beautiful, fleeting spectacles in the sky. They deeply cemented the moon's undeniable place within the very heart of human symbolism and cherished tradition. From the captivating myths of lunar deities that spoke of creation and destiny to the joyous festivals celebrated under its soft, luminous glow, the moon became an indispensable part of our collective human soul, an endless, inspiring source for heartfelt poetry, profound art, and the sweetest of dreams. It is undeniably a wonder to behold, a profound necessity in the grand cosmic scheme, and yet at times a quiet, almost imperceptible curse. In its profound, desolate beauty, the moon has forever captivated the vision of poets, inspiring countless verses that paint landscapes of quietude, profound introspection, and a tender romantic melancholy. But that very desolation also subtly hints at a deeper, often less familiar aspect of our cosmic companion. There exists one particular lunar rhythm that we seldom contemplate as overtly helpful, a compelling 19-year cycle that, in its subtle turning, possesses the inherent potential to bring forth unexpected floods and, at times, widespread ruin. And it is precisely here that the moon's gentle whisper begins to take on a slightly more serious, perhaps even somber tone. Scientists at NASA, ever vigilant in their cosmic observations, are deeply worried. They pore over intricate tidal charts, meticulously analyze complex climate models, and through their diligent work, they discern something genuinely disquieting. In the middle of the 2030s, this particular cycle is projected to reach its zenith, hitting our Earth with a profound and unprecedented intensity. For those ecosystems that have through eons of evolution become perfectly adapted to such rhythmic fluctuations, this might not present an insurmountable problem. But the pressing question that echoes in this quiet space, a question that demands our thoughtful consideration, is how truly adapted are we as a species and as a civilization to what is to come? I'm Alex Molin, and you are currently listening to the Astron Podcast. Tonight, I invite you to join me on an illuminating journey to learn about the innocently named lunar nodal cycle, a seemingly benign scientific term that beneath its calm surface conceals a surprising and immense power. It has become increasingly clear that we need to begin developing a much better, more comprehensive understanding of the fluctuating behavior of our moon, if we are to successfully protect ourselves against its inherent unfolding dangers. This is not intended to be a tale designed to instill fear, but rather an earnest invitation to ponder, to comprehend, and crucially to prepare. Let us contemplate the moon, not just as a familiar distant orb, but as an ancient friend, someone we perhaps believe we know intimately. We gaze up at it each night, observing its graceful changes in shape, and we instinctively feel a comforting sense of connection. Yet much like any profound, long-standing relationship, there are always deeper layers of mystery to uncover, subtle facets that we may never have fully perceived before. The moon is not merely a cold, inert rock suspended in the vastness of space. It is a vibrant living entity, possessing its own intricate rhythms, exerting profound and far-reaching influences upon our very planet. From time immemorial, humanity has keenly recognized the inherent power of the moon. Ancient mariners braving treacherous seas meticulously utilized its phases for navigation across vast uncharted oceans. Farmers, ever dependent on the benevolence of nature, carefully relied upon its cycles to guide their planting and harvesting seasons, ensuring the sustenance of their communities. And countless philosophers and mystics have consistently sought wisdom and deeper truths within its soft, gentle light. It has served as an endless source of inspiration for passionate love stories, soothing lullabies that calm restless minds, and the sweetest, most profound dreams. Yet how few of us ever truly pause to reflect upon the subtle hidden rhythms, the delicate oscillations within its orbit that possess the potential to bring about such momentous consequences for our daily lives. Imagine the moon not merely as a solitary sphere, but as an integral part of a sprawling, intricate system, a grand celestial three-way dance between the moon, our Earth, and the distant sun. This cosmic ballet, however, is not always perfectly harmonious. It contains subtle shifts, graceful progressions that remain imperceptible to the naked eye, yet are capable of generating profoundly powerful impacts, much like an antique clock, where every tiny gear, every minute shift, can subtly affect the precise measurement of time and, by extension, the very way life is experienced. And among these myriad rhythms, there is one particular rhythm that commands our thoughtful attention tonight: the lunar nodal cycle. This specific name, lunar nodal cycle, might initially sound rather dry and purely scientific. But let us instead envision it as an invisible thread, a flowing current of energy that intimately connects the moon to our vast, swirling oceans. It is not an entirely novel concept. Astronomers and ancient navigators have been aware of its existence for a considerable time, yet only relatively recently, with our ever-deepening understanding of climate change and the inexorable rise of sea levels, have we begun to truly comprehend its full and far-reaching implications. Envision a colossal pendulum, swinging back and forth with a steady, unwavering rhythm. The moon too possesses such a pendulum, a gentle, almost imperceptible wobble within its orbit, subtly influencing the manner in which it interacts with both Earth and the sun. This celestial wobble does not inherently present problems at all times. For the vast majority of its existence, it is simply an inherent part of the grand cosmic dance, a subtle variation that largely goes unnoticed by us. However, when it precisely reaches a particular point, a specific alignment, then its dormant, hidden power is unleashed. And that precisely is what deeply concerns the careful observers at NASA. They are not individuals prone to alarmism. Rather, they are meticulous observers, dedicated decipherers of cosmic signals. They have discerned the signs, identified the recurring patterns, which strongly suggest that in the middle of the 2030s, this lunar pendulum will reach the very apex of its oscillation, creating a singularly precise alignment that has the potential to dramatically amplify the strength of our planet's tides. This is not merely a singular, isolated event, but rather a profound sequence of events, a significant phase for which we as inhabitants of this planet must diligently prepare. We often tend to view the moon as a timeless symbol of serenity, of romantic summer nights, and of the most tranquil sweet dreams. Yet like any magnificent natural entity, it also possesses another side, a raw, untamed, and ultimately uncontrollable power. It is this very power that has ceaselessly sculpted our coastlines over millennia, relentlessly created the rhythmic ebb and flow of our ocean tides, and profoundly influenced life on this planet in ways we are only just now beginning to fully comprehend. So tonight, as we gently explore these multifaceted aspects of the moon, let us endeavor to keep our minds wide open and our hearts profoundly curious. Let us allow ourselves the profound luxury of being awestruck by the sheer complexity and intricate beauty of the universe, and concurrently, let us be gently reminded of our own inherent fragility upon this magnificent planet. This is a narrative woven with threads of science, of history, and fundamentally, of our collective future. It serves as a potent reminder that even the most familiar entities can harbor the deepest, most profound secrets. Close your eyes if you wish, or allow your gaze to gently drift across these words. Take a deep, calming breath and truly feel the profound peace of this very moment. We are embarked upon a shared journey, not one meant to instill fear, but rather to foster understanding. To understand that the moon, our silent, watchful companion, has far more to tell us than we may have ever previously imagined. And those stories, while at times appearing daunting, are nonetheless an integral part of the breathtaking, magnificent beauty of the universe in which we are privileged to reside. We will continue this journey by delving deeper into the very core of the lunar nodal cycle itself, seeking to understand precisely how it functions and why it wields such significant power. But before we venture into those more detailed scientific explanations, let us take another quiet moment to simply feel the pervasive presence of the moon, its unending influence on our lives, whether we consciously recognize it or not. It is an inescapable force, an integral note within the grand cosmic symphony of which we are but a tiny interconnected part. And within that quiet, profound realization, there exists a unique beauty, a gentle humility that we can embrace. We are not alone on this planet in experiencing the moon's pervasive influence. Every living creature, from the smallest, most ethereal marine organisms to the tallest, most ancient trees, profoundly senses its constant presence. It is a powerful reminder of the deep interconnectedness of all things, of the intricate web of life, within which we are but one delicate yet vital strand. As we continue our gentle journey, drifting from the initial whispers of the moon, let us now turn our gaze to a profound truth. The moon is an inescapable part of life on Earth. It is as fundamental to our existence as the sunlight that warms our skin or the air that fills our lungs. Its presence is woven into the very fabric of our planet, a constant, pervasive force. We often speak of its immense impact on our world, and perhaps you've already heard how its cycles subtly influence our wildlife, affect our global climate patterns, and most visibly, create the rhythmic ebb and flow of our ocean tides. These are the familiar lullabies of its influence, the stories we tell ourselves to understand its sway. But how deeply do we truly understand these influences? We tend to imagine the moon and the Earth's gravities locked in a harmonious embrace, causing them to circle each other in what we might perceive as a relatively stable, synchronized ballet. We picture a perfect, unchanging dance, a graceful waltz across the cosmic stage. Yet, as is so often the case when we observe the intricate tapestry of nature, reality is rarely as simple as our comforting imaginations portray it. Instead, nature often reveals layers of complexity, subtle nuances that invite us to look closer, to ponder deeper. And here lies one of those profound nuances, a secret hidden within the moon's seemingly dependable rhythm. Every 18.6 years precisely, the moon's orbit undergoes a subtle, almost imperceptible revolution. It's not a grand dramatic shift, not a sudden lurch in its cosmic path. Think of it more as a gentle, graceful tilt, a delicate realignment in its cosmic posture as it orbits between us and our magnificent sun. This subtle turning has a remarkable consequence. It causes our high tides to grow even higher, pushing the very edges of our coastal waters, sometimes tipping us over the precarious boundary into what can become dangerous flood territory. It's like a quiet conductor subtly adjusting the volume of the ocean's symphony, making the crescendos swell just a little bit more. But let us delve deeper into what this subtle revolution truly is, for its nature holds the key to understanding its power. Its name, when spoken scientifically, is the lunar nodal cycle, or sometimes the precession of lunar nodes. These terms, while sounding complex, merely refer to a specific fascinating feature of the moon's orbit around our Earth. You likely know that approximately every 29.5 days, the moon completes one full orbit around our planet, a cycle that we intimately observe through its changing phases. This is the moon's monthly breath, its steady pulse that marks our calendar. However, here's where the subtlety truly begins to unfold. This orbit is not perfectly flat, as one might instinctively imagine it to be. Or to be more precise, there exists a persistent 5-degree difference between the angle of the moon's orbit and what we call the ecliptic plane. Imagine the ecliptic plane as a vast, invisible, two-dimensional sheet, the perfect flat surface on which our Earth gracefully orbits around the sun like a marble rolling smoothly on a polished tabletop. Now, picture the moon's orbit as a hula hoop slightly tilted in space, weaving above and below that invisible tabletop. For roughly half of its monthly journey, the moon finds itself positioned slightly higher than this imaginary ecliptic plane. It's like a dancer rising gracefully onto her toes. Then, for the other half of the month, it gently drops below it, sinking back down into a lower position. Naturally, as it performs this celestial dance, there must be two distinct crossover points. We call these crossover points nodes. One is an ascending node where the moon passes from below the plane to above it, like a ship emerging from beneath a calm sea. The other is a descending node where it crosses back from above to below, like that same ship dipping back beneath the waves. These two nodes mark the precise points where the moon transitions from one side of the ecliptic plane over to the other. And it is these very nodes, these specific crossover points, that embark on their own incredibly slow, majestic journey over the course of the 18.6-year cycle. They don't stay fixed in one place, patiently waiting for the moon to cross them. Instead, they themselves are in a continuous, almost imperceptible motion, slowly rotating around our planet in one complete revolution. Imagine two invisible gates in space, not stationary, but slowly circling the Earth, and the moon always passes through them. This subtle long-term movement of these gates is the heart of the lunar nodal cycle. The nodes themselves, in their slow, stately procession, are precisely what cause the phenomenon we are discussing the potential for amplified tides. It's not the moon's mere presence, but the specific alignment of its orbital plane, marked by these nodes, that holds the key to its greater influence. This long gradual rotation of the nodes means that for roughly half of the 18.6-year cycle, the moon's gravitational pull on Earth's tides is slightly muted, or tide suppressing, when it's at its most aligned with the sun. And for the other half, it's amplified, or tide amplifying. It's like a cosmic dimmer switch slowly turning the tidal volume up and down over nearly 2 decades. Consider for a moment the immense scale of this celestial ballet. Our Earth, a vibrant blue marble teeming with life, spins gracefully on its axis. The moon, its faithful dance partner, whirls around us, pulling at our oceans with an unseen yet undeniably potent hand. And then far beyond the sun, our life-giving star exerts its own colossal gravitational embrace. For these 3 celestial bodies to align in such specific ways, year after year, cycle after cycle, is a testament to the elegant precision of the cosmos. We often take for granted the regularity of these movements, the unfailing appearance of the moon in its phases, the predictable rhythm of the tides. But within this predictability lies a hidden complexity, a subtle interplay of forces that only reveals its true nature when we look beyond the surface. The 18.6-year cycle is a testament to this deeper truth, a reminder that the universe is far more intricate than our initial glance might suggest. It's like discovering a hidden melody within a familiar song, a counterpoint that changes the entire composition. This seemingly small tilt, this 5-degree difference in orbital planes, is a quiet hero in this story. Without it, the moon's orbit would be perfectly aligned with Earth's orbit around the sun, and perhaps the dynamics of our tides would be entirely different, less susceptible to these long-term amplifications. It's a subtle imperfection that creates profound effects, much like a tiny crack in a rock face can lead to a mighty waterfall over centuries. Think of the ecliptic plane as the main highway of our solar system, where all the major planets largely travel. The moon, in its devotion to Earth, chooses a slightly different path, a scenic route that occasionally crosses the main road. These crossing points are the nodes, the cosmic intersections. And these intersections themselves are not fixed. They are slowly, stately moving, revolving around the Earth. It's a dance within a dance, a revolution within a revolution. And it is this subtle, almost imperceptible motion of these nodal points that truly creates the long-term ebb and flow of tidal influence. For about 9.3 years during one half of the cycle, the moon's gravitational pull, when combined with the sun's, tends to be slightly less impactful on our extreme high and low tides. It's like a gentle hand holding back the ocean's fullest reach. But then for the other 9.3 years, as the nodes shift into their tide-amplifying phase, that gentle hand releases, and the moon's influence is precisely aligned to make those tidal swings even more pronounced, more powerful. This is the deeper layer of the moon's whisper, the rhythm that has been quietly playing out for millennia, shaping coastlines and influencing life often without our conscious awareness. It is a reminder that even the most familiar celestial bodies harbor complex dynamics that can and do significantly impact our terrestrial existence. We are not merely on Earth looking at the moon. We are intimately connected to it, pulled by its unseen threads in ways both grand and subtly profound. The very concept of a cycle, a recurring pattern over such a long span of time, 18.6 years, invites a certain kind of contemplation. It suggests a patience inherent in the cosmos, a slow unfolding of events that plays out across generations. For us, human lives are relatively brief. An 18.6-year cycle might encompass significant portions of our adult lives, perhaps even mark the transition from childhood to adulthood. For the Earth, it's just another beat in its ancient heart. This difference in scale between our fleeting existence and the enduring cosmic rhythms can be both humbling and awe-inspiring. Consider the metaphor of a grand, intricate clockwork mechanism. Each gear, each spring, each tiny component moves with precise timing, contributing to the overall function. The moon's orbit, the Earth's orbit, the sun's gravitational field. These are all interconnected gears in this vast cosmic clock. The lunar nodal cycle is like a subtle adjustment, a fine-tuning of one of those gears that over nearly 2 decades slowly changes the amplitude of the ocean's breath. It's not a malfunction. It's a feature of the grand design, one that we are only now beginning to fully appreciate in its full implications. And what does it mean for these nodes to rotate around the planet in one complete revolution? Imagine a giant invisible hoop encircling the Earth. This hoop represents the line of nodes, the intersections of the moon's tilted orbit with the ecliptic plane. This hoop itself is slowly spinning like a lazily turning ring around our world. This slow spin means that the specific points where the moon's orbit crosses the Earth's orbital plane are constantly shifting ever so gradually. It's a slow-motion spiral dance, dictating how the moon's gravitational pull aligns with the sun's over time, amplifying or dampening the tides. This continuous movement, This subtle revolution means that the moon's tidal influence isn't a fixed constant. It ebbs and flows not just daily or monthly, but over these profound multi-year cycles. For creatures of the ocean, for coastal ecosystems, and indeed for human communities nestled by the shore, this long-term rhythm is a fundamental force often unseen, but always at play. It's a reminder that beneath the apparent calm of the sea, there are grand unseen forces continuously at work shaping our world in ways both subtle and powerful. As we gently ponder this complex interplay, the sheer wonder of it begins to unfold. The universe is not a static painting. It is a dynamic living sculpture constantly in motion, constantly interacting. The moon. Our familiar companion is a prime example of this cosmic dance, revealing new layers of complexity and influence the more deeply we look. And in understanding this dance, we begin to understand ourselves better, our place within this grand, intricate system. So the moon's orbit is not a simple flat loop. It's a gently tilted ellipse, subtly weaving above and below the Earth's path around the sun. And the points where it crosses this path are themselves in motion, completing a full circle every 18.6 years. This movement, this silent, unseen progression of the lunar nodes, is the very heartbeat of the cycle we are exploring. It's a testament to the universe's elegant, sometimes surprising complexity. And it sets the stage for understanding why these seemingly minor shifts can hold such significant consequences for our planet's waters. In the quiet of this moment, let us allow these ideas to settle in our minds like dust motes gently catching the light, the moon. Its subtle revolution, its moving nodes. These are not just abstract scientific concepts. They are threads in the vast tapestry of cosmic interconnectedness, touching our lives in profound ways. We are invited not to fear, but to understand the hidden dance, and in doing so, to understand our world and ourselves a little bit better. Having gently explored the moon's subtle hidden dance in its orbit, let us now turn our attention to its most visible and ancient performance, the rhythm of the tides. You may already be familiar with how the moon's profound gravity pulls at the Earth's vast waters, drawing them towards it, creating a noticeable bulge in sea levels on the side closest to our celestial companion. We call this a high tide, a gentle swelling of the ocean, like a slow, deep breath taken by the great blue body of our planet. But the ocean is vast and complex, and its dance with the moon is more intricate than a single pull. You likely also know that this phenomenon of a high tide happens on the side of the planet furthest away from the moon as well. This second bulge, however, is not caused by the same direct gravitational pull. Instead, it's a beautiful consequence of centrifugal forces, a delicate balance in the cosmic ballet. Imagine the Earth and the moon not as separate entities, but as two dancers holding each other by the arms and spinning gracefully across a vast dance floor. While it is mostly the moon that moves in this cosmic waltz, due to the Earth being so much more massive, our Earth is also swung around a little in this gravitational embrace. As the Earth pivots slightly around the common center of mass with the moon, the water on the far side, wanting to continue in a straight line, attempts to fling off into space through its gentle rocking spin. This outward momentum creates that second high tide, a quiet expansion of the waters, reaching out into the cosmic void. It's a delicate equilibrium, a testament to the elegant mechanics of the universe. So the moon sets the primary rhythm, orchestrating the ocean's steady inhale and exhale. But the moon is not alone in this grand aquatic symphony. Our magnificent sun, that distant giver of life and light, also plays a crucial role in tide formation. Its influence, while undeniably present, is to a lesser degree than the moon's. Imagine the sun as a much bigger, more powerful orchestra conductor, who, if standing closer to the stage, would undoubtedly cause a far greater pull, a more dramatic swell of the tides. However, its immense distance means that the sun's gravitational effect on our tides is only about 1/3 as potent as the moon's. It's like a powerful voice singing from far across a valley. You hear it, you feel its resonance, but its immediate impact is less than a whisper from right beside you. Yet when these two celestial musicians, the moon and the sun, align their powerful energies, something truly remarkable happens. When the moon and the sun are in perfect alignment, pulling in the same direction, we experience what are known as spring tides. These are not named for the season, but rather from the Old English word springen, meaning to burst forth or to swell. And indeed, the tides burst forth with extra vigor, reaching their highest highs and their lowest lows. This powerful alignment, a moment of cosmic cooperation, occurs approximately 6 to 8 times a year during both the new moon and the full moon phases, when our three celestial partners are arranged almost in a straight line. It's a grand crescendo, a powerful surge of the ocean's breath. Conversely, when the moon and the sun are not aligned, when they are pulling at right angles to each other like cosmic tug-of-war teams pulling in different directions, their gravitational effects partially cancel each other out. This results in much smaller tidal extremes, what we gently refer to as neap tides. During these times, the ocean's breath is softer, shallower, a moment of quiet retreat. The world feels a little calmer, the edges of the water less pronounced. Now let us bring our focus back to the profound, subtle influence of the lunar nodal cycle on this delicate tidal tug-of-war. We've established that during spring tides, the combined pull of the sun and the moon working in unison creates the highest tides and consequently the largest potential risk of floods. But here's where the 18.6-year cycle truly weaves its deeper magic. The sun and the moon are never more perfectly aligned in their tidal influence than they are at a node. Think of a node as a moment of cosmic convergence, a precise point in the moon's orbital journey, where its gravitational pull amplified by the sun's achieves its maximum effect on the Earth's tides. During the rest of each roughly 9.3-year phase within the 18.6-year cycle, the sun and the moon are not quite tugging in the same perfectly coordinated direction, meaning the tides tend to be more temperate, less extreme. They are still powerful, of course, but their peaks and troughs are not quite as dramatic. However, when the lunar nodal cycle enters its tide amplifying phase, and crucially when the moon happens to be at one of its nodal points during a spring tide, that's where things can get truly serious. That's where the risk of floods becomes highest, as the forces combine with an almost uncanny precision. It's like all the instruments in the cosmic orchestra suddenly playing the same powerful note at the perfect moment, causing the very air to vibrate. We have seen echoes of this profound alignment in our recent past. The last time this particular combination of lunar node alignment and spring tide amplification reached a significant peak was in September 2015. During that month, both the United Kingdom and the United States, recognizing the subtle warnings from the cosmos, issued major flood warnings to their citizens. In September itself, there were indeed floods, albeit relatively minor ones. They were perhaps like gentle tremors, precursors to something larger, but the real devastating impact, the true might of this cosmic alignment, was unleashed a couple of months later. It was only when heavy, relentless rain, combined with the amplified strength of the lunar nodal cycle, that the real damage was inflicted. In the United States, specifically in October, South Carolina bore the brunt of this powerful confluence. Flash flooding erupted, causing widespread property damage and forcing countless people to be rescued by emergency services plucked from their homes by the rising, relentless waters. It was a stark reminder of nature's formidable power, even when influenced by distant celestial mechanics. And then, as 2015 drew to a close at the end of December, the United Kingdom experienced one of the worst floods it had seen in an entire century. This was not merely the moon's influence alone. It was combined with the raw destructive power of Storm Desmond. The twin forces of extreme flooding and severe storm damage combined in a devastating embrace, causing an estimated £1.3 billion in damages. Homes were inundated, livelihoods were shattered, and entire communities were left reeling from the profound impact. These events serve as somber illustrations, vivid memories of what happens when the subtle whispers of the moon's complex rhythms align with Earth's own tumultuous weather. Such floods can be profoundly damaging, leaving scars both physical and emotional on the landscape and its inhabitants. But that, in and of itself, doesn't completely explain the depth of NASA's worry for the upcoming alignment projected for the mid-2030s. There is an extra element at play, a deeper, more unsettling layer, beyond the regular, predictable rhythm of this rising flood risk that we have observed through the course of human history. It's like finding a new, more powerful instrument added to the cosmic orchestra, promising an even grander, potentially more overwhelming symphony. These past events, like those in 2015, serve as crucial echoes, quiet warnings from a recent past. They were not isolated incidents, but rather manifestations of this complex interplay between lunar cycles, solar influence, and terrestrial weather patterns. The very fact that these events occurred, and with such intensity, provides invaluable data points for scientists. They allow us to refine our understanding, to improve our models, and to look forward with a clearer, albeit more concerned gaze. The dance of gravity, the pull of celestial bodies. These are fundamental laws of the universe, yet their expression on our planet, particularly on our dynamic oceans, is far from simple. It is a constantly shifting breathing system, influenced by countless variables. The moon's orbital tilt, its nodes, the Earth's rotation, the sun's distant embrace, all conspire to create a symphony of forces that at certain precise moments can resonate in a way that truly amplifies their impact. Think of it like tuning forks. Each celestial body is a tuning fork vibrating at its own frequency. Most of the time, their vibrations are slightly out of sync, creating a pleasant, moderate hum. But when the lunar nodal cycle brings them into a specific alignment, it's as if their vibrations suddenly become perfectly harmonized, creating a resonance that amplifies their combined sound to an astonishing degree. This resonance is what translates into higher tides, stronger currents, and increased flood risk. This understanding moves beyond merely observing the moon's phases or the daily high and low tides. It invites us to consider a much longer, grander rhythm, one that unfolds over nearly 2 decades. It asks us to look at the subtle, long-term patterns that quietly shape our world, often beneath the radar of our everyday awareness. And in recognizing these patterns, we gain a deeper appreciation for the profound interconnectedness of all things, from the smallest ripple in a tide pool to the vast, majestic movements of our solar system. The tides are the very breath of our planet, constantly inhaling and exhaling. The moon is the primary force guiding this breath, but the sun adds its own powerful voice to the chorus. And the lunar nodal cycle, with its shifting nodes, acts as a subtle long-term regulator, dictating when that breath becomes particularly deep and expansive, or when it recedes into a shallower ebb. It's a cosmic dance, a delicate balance of gravitational pulls that has shaped our coastlines and influenced marine life for eons. And so, as we gently conclude this chapter, we are left with a deeper understanding of the tides, not just as a simple rise and fall of water, but as a complex interplay of celestial forces. We have seen how the moon and sun combine their power, and how the lunar nodal cycle subtly amplifies this power at specific recurring moments. The echoes of 2015 serve as a powerful reminder of this amplification's potential. But as we hinted earlier, there's another even more concerning layer to this story, a factor that truly elevates NASA's current apprehension. It's a conversation between the ancient rhythms of the cosmos and the rapidly changing realities of our modern world. And it is to that deeper concern that we will turn our minds next. We've now touched upon the intricate dance of the moon, the Earth, and the sun, and how their celestial ballet, orchestrated by the subtle long rhythm of the lunar nodal cycle, can amplify the very breath of our oceans. Tonight, let us gently turn our minds to a specific chapter in our recent past, a set of events from 2015 that serve not as mere statistics in a cold report, but as vivid, tangible echoes of this cosmic influence. These are not just numbers. They are stories whispered by the wind and carved into the memory of communities. The year 2015 marked a significant point in the lunar nodal cycle, as its tide-amplifying phase aligned with the powerful spring tides. It was a time when the cosmic instruments were particularly well-tuned, their resonant frequencies combining to swell the waters beyond their usual bounds. In anticipation of this alignment, a quiet sense of apprehension began to ripple through coastal regions. Both the United Kingdom and the United States, listening to the subtle warnings from scientific observations, began to issue serious flood warnings to their citizens as early as September. Imagine, if you will, the subtle shifts in the air during those early autumn days. Perhaps a low hum of concern, a quiet awareness of the sky and the sea. In September itself, as the alignment began to manifest its power, there were indeed floods, but many of them were relatively minor. They might have been perceived as mere inconveniences, a gentle reminder from the waters, perhaps a test of our readiness. These were like the first few light drops before a true downpour, easily dismissed by some, yet holding a deeper meaning for those who understood the underlying celestial dance. But nature, in its profound wisdom and often relentless power, has a way of revealing its full might in its own time. The true turning point, the moment when the cosmic melody truly swelled into a powerful crescendo, arrived a couple of months later. It was in October, on the other side of the Atlantic, that the profound impact of this amplified lunar rhythm truly began to etch itself into the landscape and the lives of people. In the United States, particularly in South Carolina, the land known for its graceful lowcountry and intricate coastline, heavy, relentless rain began to fall. This was not merely ordinary rainfall. It was combined with the already heightened tidal waters, invisibly boosted by the tide-amplifying phase of the lunar nodal cycle. The result was devastating flash flooding erupted with shocking speed and intensity. Imagine the sudden chaos, the quiet streets rapidly transforming into churning rivers. Homes, once havens of comfort and safety, quickly became isolated islands surrounded by rising brown waters. Property damage was widespread and severe, touching countless families. The gentle order of daily life dissolved into an urgent scramble for safety. People found themselves trapped, their vehicles submerged, their escape routes cut off. This wasn't a slow creeping inundation. It was a sudden, overwhelming surge, like an unannounced wave crashing over everything. In these moments of crisis, the human spirit, resilient and courageous, truly shines. Emergency services, braving the treacherous conditions, sprang into action. They navigated flooded streets in boats wading through chest-high water, reaching out to those stranded in their homes or caught unexpectedly in their cars. The images from that time of individuals being rescued from rooftops or through windows painted a vivid picture of the sheer fragility of our constructed lives when confronted by the raw force of nature, subtly amplified by celestial mechanics. These weren't just news reports. They were lived experiences, etched into the memories of families and communities forever. And as the year drew to a close, a similar, perhaps even more dramatic chapter unfolded across the ocean. At the end of December 2015, the United Kingdom was struck by some of the most severe floods it had experienced in an entire century. This event was a potent blend of the amplified lunar influence and a powerful terrestrial storm, aptly named Storm Desmond. The combination was nothing short of catastrophic. Imagine the relentless drumming of rain, day after day, week after week, saturating the already full rivers and landscapes. Then layer upon that the amplified high tides swelling higher than they had in generations, preventing the rivers from draining effectively into the sea. The land simply could not absorb any more water, and the natural drainage systems were overwhelmed. What followed was a widespread deluge as towns and villages, particularly in the north of England, found themselves completely submerged. The sheer scale of the damage was immense. The combined forces of the extreme flooding and the fierce winds and torrential rains of Storm Desmond caused an estimated £1.3 billion in damages. This wasn't just a number. It represented homes, destroyed businesses, ruined roads washed away, and vital infrastructure severely compromised. Entire communities where isolated power outages were widespread, and the very fabric of daily life was torn apart. The floodwaters lingered for weeks, turning once familiar landscapes into vast, desolate lakes, leaving behind a thick layer of silt and mud when they finally receded. These events, particularly the magnitude of the floods in South Carolina and the United Kingdom, serve as somber and profound illustrations of the lunar nodal cycle's potential. They show us unequivocally what can happen when this long, subtle cosmic rhythm aligns with terrestrial weather patterns, creating a dangerous symphony of forces. They are not merely historical footnotes. They are vital case studies, lessons etched in water and mud for us to understand as we look towards the future. These floods, devastating as they were, highlight a critical question that quietly echoes through the scientific community and out into our coastal towns. How adapted are we? Are our infrastructures, our communities, our ways of life truly prepared for the amplified rhythm of the moon's long cycle? The events of 2015 were a powerful reminder that while the moon's influence is often benign and beautiful, it also harbors a raw, untamed power that, when combined with other natural forces, can quickly become overwhelming. Consider the human element in these narratives: the fear, the displacement, the long road to recovery. Beyond the economic figures, beyond the scientific data, there is the profound impact on individual lives. The memories of lost belongings, of disrupted routines, of the sheer emotional toll of rebuilding linger long after the waters recede. These are the intimate stories that truly give weight to the scientific predictions and the need for greater understanding and preparedness. And what about the lessons learned from 2015? Did these events truly galvanize a comprehensive, widespread effort to adapt and protect our coastal communities? Or were they perhaps seen as isolated incidents, unfortunate, but not necessarily indicative of a recurring, amplified threat? This is a question that invites quiet introspection, a moment to consider whether we truly listen to the whispers of the past, or if we are prone to forgetting to assuming that once a storm passes, the threat is gone. The very nature of a cycle, especially one that spans nearly 2 decades, means that the full implications might not be immediately apparent after one isolated event. It requires a long view, a deep understanding of interconnected systems, both cosmic and terrestrial. The 2015 floods were not the peak of the lunar nodal cycle's total influence. They were merely a powerful manifestation during a period of amplification combined with significant rainfall. The true collective power of the cycle, especially when combined with other accelerating global phenomena, is what truly concerns scientists for the mid-2030s. So these past events serve as a prelude, a gentle yet firm warning. They show us what happened when the cosmic stage was set and the Earth's weather played its part. They allow us to imagine with greater clarity what might unfold when the moon's influence is amplified to an even greater degree and when other larger global changes enter the equation. It's like watching a dress rehearsal for a play, giving us insight into the potential drama of the main performance. We are, in essence, asked to be better listeners, to tune into the subtle rhythms that govern our planet, rhythms that have always been there but whose implications are changing in a world increasingly shaped by human activity. The moon's whispers are becoming louder, more urgent, and the stories of 2015 are part of that growing chorus. They speak of vulnerability, of resilience, and of the profound need for foresight and collective action. The question of how adapted are we truly begins to resonate here. Are our current flood defenses, our urban planning, our emergency protocols truly robust enough for a future where these amplified lunar rhythms combine with other environmental shifts? Or do we need to rethink our relationship with the water to learn new ways of living alongside its immense power? These are not questions for a distant future. They are questions for now, as the echoes of 2015 gently guide our gaze towards the mid-2030s. And in acknowledging these past events, we recognize that the cosmic dance is not merely a theoretical concept. It has tangible, real-world consequences that affect human lives, economies, and landscapes. The staggering economic cost of the 2015 floods, the emotional toll on communities. These are powerful reminders that we are intimately connected to the larger rhythms of the universe and our planet, and that understanding these rhythms is not just an academic pursuit, but a matter of vital importance for our collective well-being. We've explored the moon's gentle yet powerful influence on our tides, and we've recalled the stark echoes of 2015, when its rhythmic pulse amplified by a specific alignment combined with heavy rains to bring significant floods. But now, let us gently shift our gaze from the past to the future, to a horizon that carries a deeper concern, an extra element at play that truly amplifies NASA's worry beyond the regular rhythm of this rising flood risk. It's a quiet conversation between ancient celestial cycles and the rapidly changing face of our Earth. Unfortunately, the next major alignment of the lunar nodal cycle, predicted for the middle of the 2030s, promises to be particularly devastating. Why? Because this profound phenomenon is poised to combine with an already strained system, a planetary stage already set with heightened vulnerability. Imagine a delicate balance pushed closer and closer to its tipping point, and then a powerful, predictable cosmic force arrives to deliver a significant nudge. This already strained system is none other than our planet's accelerating experience of climate change. For decades, human activity has been steadily warming our atmosphere, melting ancient glaciers, and expanding the very volume of our ocean waters. This has resulted in a relentless, inexorable march of steadily rising sea levels. It's not a sudden surge, but a quiet, persistent creep like a slow tide that never fully recedes, gradually erasing the old boundaries between land and sea. Each year, the high tide mark inches a little higher, the low tide mark a little less low. When the next nodal alignment, that powerful cosmic amplification, precisely coincides with these already elevated sea levels in the mid-2030s, it will likely lead to a dramatic, unprecedented increase in floods across vast stretches of our planet Earth. Think of it this way: the lunar nodal cycle acts like a cosmic amplifier for tides, making the highs higher and the lows lower. Now imagine this amplifier being applied to a baseline that is already significantly higher due to climate change. The combination is not merely additive, it's a compounding effect, a powerful synergy that creates a far greater impact. Worryingly, a groundbreaking new study, led by NASA's very own sea level change science team, offers a sobering prediction. Their meticulous research suggests that almost all U.S. mainland coastlines, along with the vulnerable islands of Hawaii and Guam, will experience a colossal leap in flood numbers when this alignment occurs. This isn't just about a few more high tide events. It's about a fundamental shift in the frequency and intensity of coastal flooding. Some predictions from this study claim that this upcoming nodal alignment could cause 4 times the amount of flooding from one decade to the next. Imagine that, a quadrupling of flood events. What does that truly mean for the places we call home, for the cities built on the edge of the water, for the delicate ecosystems that thrive there? Such a dramatic increase in flooding will inevitably damage critical infrastructure. Roads will become impassable, bridges may be undermined, and essential utility networks, water pipes, sewer lines, power grids will face unprecedented strain and repeated failures. The very foundations of our coastal communities, meticulously built over generations, will be tested like never before. And beyond the immediate damage, this will fundamentally change our coastlines around the world. Shorelines will erode at an accelerated pace. Salt marshes will be perpetually inundated, and freshwater wetlands will be infiltrated by saltwater, transforming landscapes and altering ecosystems irrevocably. It's not just a temporary inconvenience, it's a permanent reshaping of the very geography we inhabit. The human cost of this coming surge is profound and multifaceted. Human life will inevitably be deeply affected by these recurring floods. our fundamental need for shelter will be compromised as homes are repeatedly inundated, forcing families to abandon their properties or face continuous expensive repairs. Access to clean water supplies will become precarious as floodwaters can contaminate wells and overwhelmed sewage systems can spill into drinking water sources. Our reliance on electricity will be challenged with widespread and prolonged power outages, becoming a common occurrence disrupting everything from communication to heating and cooling. Beyond these immediate logistical challenges, there's a more insidious biological threat. The increased frequency of floods brings with it a heightened risk of waterborne disease outbreaks. Contaminated floodwaters can easily spread pathogens leading to illnesses like hepatitis A and cholera. Imagine the devastating impact on public health, especially in areas with limited medical resources. And then as the floodwaters in their slow, reluctant retreat begin to recede, they often leave behind stagnant pools of water. These lingering puddles warmed by the sun become ideal breeding grounds for mosquitoes. And with an explosion in mosquito populations comes the increased potential for the spread of other debilitating diseases, such as malaria and other vector-borne illnesses. It's a silent biological aftershock of the floods extending the suffering long after the water is gone. The ripple effect of these environmental challenges inevitably extends into economic issues. Coastal life, once idyllic and desirable, can rapidly become unaffordable. We'll likely see a sharp increase in the cost of insurance on homes located in these flood-prone areas as risk assessments skyrocket. In some cases, it may become entirely impossible to find insurance at all, leaving homeowners completely exposed to financial ruin. This could trigger a significant reduction in asset value across entire coastal communities, as property values plummet, impacting individual wealth and the economic stability of regions. Businesses that rely on coastal access or tourism would face insurmountable challenges, leading to job losses and economic decline. Consequently, this amplified lunar nodal cycle combining with rising sea levels will profoundly damage the quality of life in coastal communities. The very essence of what makes these places special, their proximity to the ocean, their unique culture, their established infrastructure, will be under relentless assault. Infrastructure may not be rebuilt after repeated damage, or it may be adapted in ways that fundamentally alter the character of these places. Imagine homes raised on stilts, roads built on elevated platforms, a constant battle against the encroaching waters. It's a forced transformation, a reimagining of how we coexist with a more assertive rising sea. And it's not just bad for humans. The interconnected web of life means that our natural world will also suffer immensely. Ilya Roslin, a visiting professor at Rutgers University, has analyzed the ecological impacts, highlighting how the peak of the lunar wobble, where high tides are significantly higher, can effectively drown salt marshes. Imagine these salt marshes, vast expanses of resilient grasses and muddy channels teeming with life. They are critical habitats acting as nurseries and feeding grounds for a wide range of species, particularly invertebrates like crabs, snails, and various insects. These creatures form the very foundation of the coastal food web. When the salt marshes are perpetually inundated, when the water simply doesn't recede enough for these delicate creatures to breathe or feed, these floods can cause these invertebrates to simply drown. It's a quiet, unseen tragedy unfolding beneath the surface of the water. And when these foundational species suffer, the ripple effect spreads throughout the ecosystem. Other species like numerous types of fish, graceful seabirds, and countless other creatures who rely on these invertebrates for their survival also suffer. Their food sources dwindle, their breeding grounds are compromised, and their populations inevitably decline. The delicate balance of the natural world is disrupted, cascading through the food chain in unseen ways. Moreover, salt marshes are not just home to invertebrates. They hold a multitude of marine life, including, remarkably, an estimated 75% of all fishery species at some point in their life cycle. These are the fish that eventually make their way to our tables, providing sustenance and supporting entire fishing industries. This means that the lunar wobble amplified by rising sea levels directly impacts the food chains of both humans and animals, causing significant disturbances to their natural habitat and inevitably impacting their populations. It's a stark reminder of how deeply intertwined our destinies are with the health of the natural world and how a distant cosmic rhythm can ultimately affect what we put on our plates. The scale of this future impact is immense, touching not just the land and our constructed environment, but the very biological fabric of our coastal world. It's a powerful call to attention, a plea from the future. We are being asked to look beyond the immediate horizon, to see the patterns unfolding, and to understand that the decisions we make now, the preparations we undertake, will profoundly shape the lives of generations to come. This coming alignment, therefore, is not just another predictable astronomical event. It is a moment of reckoning, a confluence of celestial mechanics and earthly changes that demands our deepest consideration and most thoughtful response. The quiet, persistent rise of the oceans amplified by the moon's long rhythmic breath paints a picture of a future that requires unprecedented foresight and collective action. It is a future where the gentle lapping of waves could transform into a relentless encroaching force, reshaping our relationship with the very edge of the land. And in contemplating these potential future impacts, the question lingers: are we truly ready to face a world where coastlines shift, where familiar landscapes transform, and where the very essence of coastal living undergoes a profound metamorphosis? It's a question not of blame, but of preparation, of understanding, and of our capacity to adapt to the powerful unfolding story of our planet and its cosmic companions. We have gently journeyed through the moon's rhythmic influence, observed its powerful echoes in past floods, and looked with a thoughtful gaze toward the amplified future. Now let us shift our focus from the human tapestry of coastal life to the more silent sufferers, the delicate, intricate ecosystems that are woven into the very fabric of our shorelines. For the moon's amplified breath combined with rising seas whispers not just to human communities, but deeply into the natural world, stirring both vulnerability and resilience. Among these precious natural realms, none perhaps symbolize the delicate balance more poignantly than our salt marshes. These are not just stretches of wet land. They are vibrant, breathing landscapes, complex tapestries of life where land meets sea in a constant, subtle exchange. They are often vast, flat expanses of resilient, salt-tolerant grasses crisscrossed by intricate channels and pools lying just above the high tide line. For generations, they have thrived in the rhythmic embrace of the tides, flourishing in a delicate balance of periodic inundation and exposure. But as the lunar wobble reaches its peak, amplified by rising sea levels, these vital ecosystems face an unprecedented challenge. Ilya Roslin, a respected visiting professor at Rutgers University, has dedicated thoughtful analysis to this very concern. Her work illuminates how the increased height of high tides during the peak of the lunar wobble can profoundly impact the seemingly robust yet ultimately fragile salt marshes. The danger in its stark simplicity is that these precious habitats can effectively be drowned. Imagine a salt marsh at high tide, its grasses submerged, its channels brimming. This is a natural, healthy part of its existence. But now envision the tides rising higher and staying higher for longer periods, driven by the amplified lunar cycle on an already elevated baseline. The marsh, which evolved to be periodically exposed to air and sunlight, suddenly finds itself perpetually inundated. Its breathing pores are covered, its delicate internal balance disrupted. It's like a plant that suddenly finds its roots swimming in water for too long. It simply cannot survive. Salt marshes are, in essence, the nurseries of the sea. They are teeming habitats, bustling with a remarkable diversity of life, serving as crucial breeding grounds and feeding areas for a wide range of species. They are particularly vital for invertebrates, those small, often unseen creatures that form the very foundation of the coastal food web. Think of the scuttling crabs, the tiny snails clinging to marsh grasses, the myriad of insects flitting among the reeds. These humble beings are the quiet architects of life in the marsh, converting detritus into energy, providing sustenance for countless others. When the salt marshes are perpetually inundated, when the waters simply do not recede enough for these delicate invertebrates to breathe, to forage, to find shelter, these relentless floods can cause these foundational creatures to literally drown. It's a silent, unseen tragedy unfolding beneath the shifting surface of the water, a quiet decimation of life that begins at the very base of the ecosystem. Imagine an entire microscopic city submerged, its inhabitants unable to escape the rising tide. And when these foundational species suffer such a blow, the ripple effect is profound and far-reaching, spreading inevitably throughout the entire intricate web of the marsh ecosystem. Other species, the ones higher up on the food chain, who rely intrinsically on these invertebrates for their survival, also begin to suffer. Picture the slender fish darting through the channels, searching for their invertebrate meals. Envision the graceful seabirds wading through the shallows, patiently hunting for the crabs and snails that sustain them. When the food source dwindles, these creatures face starvation, their growth stunted, their ability to reproduce diminished. Their populations inevitably decline, a direct consequence of the silent struggle of the invertebrates beneath the water. The broader significance of this is truly immense. Salt marshes are not just isolated pockets of ecological wonder. They hold a multitude of marine life that extends far beyond their immediate boundaries. Remarkably, an estimated 75% of all fishery species, that's 3 out of every 4 types of fish and shellfish that ultimately make their way to our markets and our tables, depend on salt marshes at some critical point in their life cycle. These marshes serve as vital nurseries where juvenile fish grow and mature, protected from larger predators and nourished by abundant food. This means that the amplified lunar wobble, magnified by the relentless creep of rising sea levels, directly impacts the food chains of both humans and animals. It's a profound disturbance to their natural habitat, and this disruption directly impacts their populations. A decline in marsh-dependent fish species does not just affect the fish themselves. It affects the livelihoods of coastal fishing communities, the availability of fresh seafood for consumers, and the delicate balance of the ocean's broader ecosystem. It's a sobering reminder of how intricately intertwined our own destinies are with the health and vitality of the natural world around us. The interconnectedness of life on our planet is a concept we often ponder. But here, in the fate of the salt marsh, we see it play out in vivid, often heartbreaking detail. How a subtle, distant celestial cycle can, through a cascading series of effects, unravel the complex ecosystems right on our shores. It's a powerful testament to the fact that nothing in nature exists in isolation. Every rhythm, every shift, every change in one part of the grand cosmic design sends ripples throughout the whole. So let us take a moment to pause and reflect on this intricate web of life. The salt marsh, seemingly still and unassuming, is in fact a pulsing heart of biodiversity. It filters pollutants from the water, protects coastlines from erosion, and nurtures life from the smallest microbe to the largest bird. When it suffers, the entire ecological system shudders, sending tremors through the marine world and ultimately through our own lives. The drowning of salt marshes due to sustained inundation is not merely an aesthetic loss. It is a loss of vital ecological function. These marshes act as natural sponges, absorbing excess water from storm surges and heavy rains, helping to mitigate flooding in inland areas. They are also powerful carbon sinks, sequestering significant amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, playing a quiet but crucial role in regulating our climate. When they are lost, we lose not only biodiversity, but also a natural defense mechanism and a vital ally in our struggle against climate change. Imagine a living, breathing barrier, silently protecting our shores, providing a sanctuary for countless species. Now imagine that barrier slowly being submerged, suffocated by the very waters it was meant to manage and thrive within. This is the quiet tragedy that unfolds as the amplified lunar tides, riding on the back of rising sea levels, continue their relentless advance. The scientific analysis like that of Professor Roslin brings a sobering clarity to these observations. It shifts the conversation from abstract astronomical phenomena to very tangible biological consequences. It compels us to see the direct line from the moon's distant orbit to the life and death struggles of tiny invertebrates, and from those invertebrates to the health of our fisheries and the stability of our food systems. It's a vivid illustration of the butterfly effect played out on a cosmic scale. And what does this mean for the future? It means that our coastal management strategies, our conservation efforts, must evolve to account for these amplified rhythms. We cannot simply rely on past patterns when the baseline itself is shifting and the celestial amplifiers are being turned up. It means a renewed urgency for habitat preservation and restoration, recognizing that these natural systems are not just beautiful, but are indispensable partners in our collective resilience. The fragility of salt marshes serves as a poignant reminder of our interconnectedness with the natural world. Their quiet struggle under the rising waters is a microcosm of the larger challenges facing our planet. By understanding their plight, by truly grasping the delicate balance they embody, we gain a deeper appreciation for the intricate dance between Earth, Moon, and Sun, and our profound responsibility within that dance. It invites us to consider what we might lose if we do not listen closely to the whispers from these vital, vulnerable ecosystems. The moon in its silent orbiting creates a universal rhythm. The tides are its earthly manifestation, and the salt marsh rooted firmly at the dynamic edge of land and sea is a living gauge of how well our planet is managing this cosmic pulse, especially as it intensifies. It's a humble yet powerful indicator of ecological health, singing a quiet song of survival or struggle as the waters rise and recede. So as we contemplate these delicate ecosystems, let us feel a sense of shared responsibility. Their fate is in many ways intertwined with our own. The health of the salt marsh, the abundance of our fisheries, the vitality of our coastal communities, all are subject to these grand unfolding rhythms. And understanding this intricate connection is the first step toward finding ways to live in greater harmony with our planet, even as the tides rise. As we gently wander through the intricate tapestry of the moon's influence from its ancient whispers to the modern anxieties of rising tides and vulnerable salt marshes, it is easy for a sense of gloom to settle upon us. The predictions of increased flooding, the economic burdens, the ecological distress, these can weigh heavily on the heart. Yet in the grand unfolding story of our planet, there is always another side, a glimmer of hope, found in the remarkable adaptability and resilience of nature itself. It's a reminder that not all ecosystems on our beautiful blue marble are negatively affected by flooding and high tides. Some, in their profound wisdom, have learned to dance with the water to thrive in its rhythmic embrace. Let us now turn our gaze to one such marvel of nature, the mangrove forests. These are not merely trees growing near the sea. They are complex, vibrant ecosystems, often found in the sheltered coastal regions of tropical and subtropical areas. They stand tall on tangled networks of stilt-like roots, forming dense, impenetrable thickets that seem to defy the very ebb and flow of the ocean. And in their existence, we find a fascinating interplay with the very lunar rhythms we have been exploring. It is in the insightful work of ecologist Neil Saintelin of Macquarie University in Australia that we discover a truly unique relationship. His careful analysis has revealed that the lunar nodal cycle, with its long 18.6-year pulse, significantly impacts the expansion and contraction of mangrove canopy cover across most of the vast Australian continent. Imagine the moon from afar gently breathing, and the mangroves on Earth responding in kind, their green canopies expanding and receding like lungs. Saintelin's meticulous observations showed a compelling correlation: the peaks of the lunar nodal cycle. Those periods when the moon's tidal influence is at its greatest amplification coincided beautifully with the robust expansion of the mangrove canopy. Conversely, when the lunar wobble was at its minimum phase during the other half of the cycle, When tidal extremes were less pronounced, the mangrove ecosystems tended to become very dry, leading to a thinner, less expansive canopy cover. Consider this fascinating dance. When the lunar wobble is at its minimum phase, the tides are less extreme. This means that the high tides are not quite as high, and crucially, the low tides are not quite as low. For mangroves, which thrive in a precise balance of saltwater and freshwater input, a consistently lower high tide can mean less inundation. If this lower inundation is coupled with periods of reduced rainfall, the mangrove environment can become too dry. The soil holds less water, the salinity can increase, and the trees may struggle to access the fresh water they need to thrive. This leads to a stress response visible in the thinning of their dense green canopies. It's as if they are holding their breath waiting for the water to return in its fullest measure. Yet when the lunar wobble reaches its maximum phase, when the moon's amplifying influence is at its strongest, the tides become more extreme. This means higher high tides and lower low tides. For mangroves, these higher high tides bring a more consistent, perhaps even prolonged inundation with saltwater. While this might seem counterintuitive for trees, mangroves are exquisitely adapted to precisely this kind of environment. The increased tidal flushing brings in more nutrients, helps to wash away excess salts that might accumulate around their roots, and ensures a consistent supply of water. The increased water availability, coupled with the proper salinity, fuels their growth, and we see the mangrove cover increase. It's as if they are exhaling fully, embracing the abundance of water. This unique relationship highlights a profound truth: nature is incredibly diverse in its adaptations. What might be a challenge for one ecosystem, like the persistent inundation faced by salt marshes, can be a source of vitality and growth for another, like the resilient mangroves. It underscores the importance of a nuanced understanding, moving beyond broad generalizations to appreciate the specific intricate dance of each species with its environment. And why does the growth of mangrove canopies matter so profoundly to the welfare of our planet? The answer lies in the multitude of profound benefits these complex ecosystems offer. Mangroves are in essence nature's quiet superheroes, fighting on multiple fronts to protect our world. Firstly, they are powerful allies in the global fight against climate change. Mangroves are incredibly efficient at capturing and storing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Their dense root systems, combined with the anoxic oxygen-poor conditions of the muddy soils they inhabit, create ideal conditions for carbon sequestration. Imagine them as living carbon sponges diligently pulling greenhouse gases out of the air. Reports suggest that mangrove forests can absorb and store 4 times as much carbon dioxide as rainforests of the same size. This makes them an indispensable natural solution in our efforts to mitigate global warming. Secondly, mangroves are vital protectors of wildlife. Their intricate root systems provide complex sheltered habitats serving as nurseries and feeding grounds for a vast array of marine and terrestrial species. Fish crabs, shrimp, and other invertebrates find refuge and sustenance within their watery labyrinth. Migratory birds use them as crucial stopover points, and even larger animals like monkey snakes and insects thrive within their dense canopies. They are bustling biodiverse cities, teeming with life, acting as critical links in the coastal food web. And thirdly, and perhaps most visibly in the context of our discussion on floods, mangroves act as natural living shields for our coastlines. Their dense network of above-ground roots and sturdy trunks creates a formidable barrier against the relentless energy of waves and storm surges. They absorb the impact, dissipate the force, and protect the fragile land behind them from erosion. They are nature's own seawalls, growing stronger with every passing tide. The growth of these mangrove canopies, therefore, is not just a botanical curiosity. It is absolutely vital to the welfare of our entire planet. Their health directly impacts climate regulation, biodiversity conservation, and coastal protection. So, while the amplified lunar cycle might bring challenges elsewhere for mangroves in their unique adaptation, It seems to offer a period of thriving, a gentle push towards greater expansion and strength. This is indeed a positive note, a testament to the planet's self-healing capabilities and the potential for symbiotic relationships between celestial rhythms and earthly life. This natural phenomenon, where the lunar cycle promotes mangrove growth, holds a powerful lesson for us. It suggests that solutions to complex environmental challenges might not always lie in massive engineering projects or technological fixes alone. Sometimes they lie in understanding nature's own rhythms, recognizing its inherent strengths, and working with its existing systems. If the moon's wobble, which amplifies tides, also helps mangroves to grow and mangroves protect against those very tides, then there is a beautiful self-regulating feedback loop at play. It invites us to consider the intelligence of the natural world, the millions of years of evolution that have shaped these ecosystems, to respond to and even benefit from the very forces that might challenge other less adapted systems. The mangroves, in their silent resilience, offer a powerful counterpoint to the vulnerability we discussed in the previous chapter. They are a testament to nature's profound capacity for adaptation, a living example of thriving in conditions that might seem hostile to others. This knowledge also brings a sense of wonder, doesn't it? To think that the subtle tilt of the moon's orbit, a change occurring over nearly 2 decades, can influence the lushness of a forest on Earth thousands of miles away. It speaks to the intricate interconnectedness of our universe, where every celestial body, every gravitational pull, every orbital dance has a profound ripple effect across the cosmos, touching even the smallest leaf on a mangrove tree. So while we acknowledge the very real dangers posed by the amplified lunar nodal cycle and rising sea levels, particularly for our human infrastructure and less resilient ecosystems like salt marshes, the story of the mangroves offers a vital counter-narrative. It reminds us that there are pathways to resilience, natural solutions that are already at work waiting for us to understand, support, and perhaps even emulate them. Their ability to thrive in these conditions, to grow denser and more expansive when the tides are most extreme, suggests a powerful natural defense mechanism. It's a living shield growing thicker and stronger precisely when the need for protection is greatest. This is not mere coincidence. It is a profound example of ecological adaptation and the intricate balance of the natural world. The insights from ecologists like Neil Sentelin are crucial. They move us beyond simply identifying problems to discovering potential solutions woven directly into the fabric of life itself. The mangroves whisper of a path forward, a way to work with the powerful forces of nature rather than simply fighting against them. Their flourishing growth in response to amplified tides suggests that even in the face of daunting challenges, nature holds keys to our survival and adaptation. This understanding is not meant to diminish the very real threats. Coastal cities and environments will still face a serious crisis if we do not plan ahead, if we do not take proactive measures. But the mangroves offer a vital piece of the puzzle, a living example of how resilience can be built naturally. They point towards a future where perhaps our defenses against the rising waters can be as alive and dynamic as the waters themselves. This is a profound shift in perspective, inviting us to see nature not just as a resource, but as a wise teacher offering lessons in survival and adaptation. As we continue our quiet exploration, having witnessed the remarkable resilience of mangroves thriving in the very conditions that challenge other coastal ecosystems, a compelling question gently arises. What can we learn from these natural wonders? If the moon's amplified breath fosters their growth, and they in turn offer protection against the very waters that are surging, then perhaps a profound method for our own defense lies hidden within their intricate roots and verdant canopies. Indeed, one potent method for better protection, a natural shield against the rising tides, lies in the humble yet mighty mangrove. Let us delve deeper into how these living architects of the coast perform their vital role. The protection and meticulous restoration of mangroves can truly act as a formidable shield against the encroaching waters, effectively mitigating the vulnerability of communities nestled along our coastlines. Imagine them not just as trees, but as nature's own meticulously engineered breakwaters. Their very presence, a testament to sustainable defense. More specifically, the profound power of mangroves lies in their ability to avert damage by decreasing both the height and the energy of waves as they pass through the dense, intricate labyrinth of mangrove forests. Think of a powerful wave, perhaps a metaphor for the relentless force of the ocean's amplified breath. As this wave encounters the first line of defense, the dense thicket of mangrove roots and branches, its journey begins to change. The complex network of above-ground roots and intertwining branches acts like a natural sieve, a living filter in the path of the surging water. Each root, each branch absorbs a tiny fraction of the wave's immense energy, subtly diminishing its height and force with every obstacle it encounters. It's like a gentle hand gradually slowing down a powerful current, dispersing its momentum across a vast, yielding surface. The wave, once tall and commanding, begins to stoop its powerful crest, softening into a more manageable swell. As the wave pushes deeper into the mangrove forest, encountering more and more of these fibrous, resilient barriers, it gradually loses energy. Its speed slackens, its height diminishes, and its destructive power dissipates. Ultimately, this leads to the wave slowing so significantly that it effectively stops its remaining energy spent before it can emerge onto the seabed with full force or engulf the precious sediments of the coastline. The water simply settles, its power diffused rather than crashing destructively. But the mangrove's protective prowess extends even further. Their dense, intricate roots and branches also play a crucial role in reducing wind energy. Picture the wind whipping across the open ocean, gathering speed and force, and beginning to whip the surface of the water into powerful waves. As this wind encounters the towering leafy canopies and dense root systems of a mangrove forest, its energy is absorbed and disrupted. The friction created by the leaves and branches acts as a natural buffer, effectively diminishing the wind's capacity to continue forming new waves. It's like a vast green wall that stands against the invisible force of the wind, calming the waters beyond. The effectiveness of this natural engineering is truly remarkable, backed by compelling scientific reports. According to studies, a densely packed mangrove forest can literally halve the height of a wave through just a 100-meter passage. Imagine a wave that was once 6 feet tall, reduced to a mere 3 feet after traversing just the length of a football field through a thick mangrove stand. This is a profound testament to their protective power, a quiet strength that belies their rooted stillness. For comparison, consider an open forest, perhaps one where the roots and branches are more sparse, less densely interwoven. To achieve the same reduction in wave height, to have a wave's destructive power, it would require a much greater distance, potentially 500 meters or more. This stark contrast highlights the critical importance of maintaining the density and health of mangrove ecosystems. It's not just about having mangroves, it's about having robust, thriving, and interconnected mangrove forests that can truly stand as a living bulwark against the forces of the sea. Therefore, the preservation and meticulous reforestation of these mangroves, or indeed of other plant species with a similar capability, can truly become a great shield against the upcoming amplified floods. It's an investment in nature's own resilience, a recognition that the best defenses are often those that work in harmony with the natural world, rather than attempting to conquer it with concrete and steel. Planting more mangroves, protecting existing ones, and allowing them to flourish is not just an environmental good. It is a critical strategy for coastal defense, a living infrastructure that adapts and grows with the very challenges it seeks to mitigate. This green infrastructure offers multiple benefits beyond just flood protection. It restores biodiversity, creates carbon sinks, and stabilizes coastlines. It's a holistic approach, a gentle yet powerful solution that nurtures life while simultaneously defending it. Imagine a future where our coastlines are lined not just with concrete walls, but with vibrant living forests swaying in the breeze, silently absorbing the ocean's power. The quiet power of nature's own defenses, patiently waiting to be understood and supported, is a profound thought. For too long, humanity has often viewed nature as something to be tamed, to be conquered, to be built over. But the story of the mangroves whispers a different truth, that nature itself holds many of the answers to the challenges we face. We need only to listen to observe and to learn to work in partnership with its enduring wisdom. Consider the economic implications of such a strategy. While there is an initial investment in reforestation and preservation, the long-term benefits can far outweigh the costs of continually repairing damaged infrastructure after repeated flood events. Mangroves are self-repairing, self-sustaining systems, constantly growing and adapting, requiring far less maintenance than artificial seawalls over decades and centuries. They are a truly sustainable solution, offering resilience that compounds over time. Moreover, the beauty and ecological richness of mangrove forests can also bring economic benefits through ecotourism and healthy fisheries, creating thriving local economies that are both resilient and sustainable. It's a vision where environmental protection and economic prosperity are not at odds, but rather deeply intertwined, supporting each other in a mutually beneficial dance. The call for preservation and reforestation is a call to action, but it's a gentle one, rooted in understanding and partnership. It's about nurturing what is already there and helping nature to do what it does best, protect and sustain life. We are invited to become gardeners of our coastlines, cultivating resilience rather than merely reacting to disaster. Think of it as tending a garden. You prepare the soil, you plant the seeds, you provide the conditions for growth. The mangroves, once established, grow and flourish, weaving a natural barrier against the sea. It's a proactive approach, building defenses not just against the next storm, but against the long amplified rhythms of the lunar cycle and the persistent creep of rising sea levels. It's about creating a future where our coastlines are not just protected, but are vibrantly alive, humming with biodiversity and resilience. This approach acknowledges the profound truth that our planet is a living system, and its natural processes offer powerful solutions if we are wise enough to embrace them. The tides will continue to rise and fall, the moon will continue its dance, and sea levels will continue their ascent. But by working with mangroves, by strengthening these natural shields, we can face these challenges not with fear, but with a sense of quiet confidence, knowing that we have partnered with one of nature's most effective defenders. The concept of a green shield is more than just a metaphor. It's a practical, scientifically supported strategy. It suggests that our built environment can coexist with and be protected by thriving natural environments. It's a harmonious vision where human ingenuity and natural processes come together to create a more resilient future. And it stands in stark contrast to solely relying on hard-engineered solutions that often fight against nature rather than flowing with it. So as we contemplate the challenges ahead in the mid-2030s, the image of the mangrove forest, dense and resilient, offers a powerful sense of hope. It reminds us that solutions exist, that nature holds many of the keys, and that by supporting and restoring these vital ecosystems, we can build a future where our coastal communities are not just surviving, but truly thriving, even in the face of amplified cosmic rhythms and rising seas. We've seen the quiet living shield that mangroves offer, a testament to nature's profound capacity for resilience. Now let us gently turn our minds to another powerful possible solution, one that embraces a philosophy of working with nature rather than persistently fighting against it. This is a different kind of wisdom, a blend of human ingenuity and humble observation. And there is perhaps no better living example of this philosophy than the nation of the Netherlands. Imagine a country much of its very existence intimately defined by its relationship with water. For the Dutch, this relationship is not just one of proximity. It is a fundamental shaping force. They are a nation built quite literally on the edge of the sea, perpetually engaged in a delicate dance with the mighty North Sea and its powerful rivers. The challenge they face is immense. A staggering 1/3 of their entire country lies below sea level, a continuous invitation for the waters to reclaim what was once theirs. And beyond that, another significant third of their land area remains at constant risk of flooding, a persistent quiet threat. Yet despite these daunting geographical realities, the Netherlands stands as a shining beacon of human resilience and ingenuity. Their history is a long interwoven tapestry of battling, then befriending the water. They have, through centuries of trial and innovation, perfected the art of designing infrastructure that works with water and gracefully manages the rising sea levels rather than attempting to brute force a separation. It's a philosophy born from necessity, forged by the relentless embrace of the ocean, and it offers profound lessons for a world facing amplified lunar tides and steadily rising waters. At the heart of their strategy lies a unique and fascinating concept, the polder. Imagine a piece of land carefully reclaimed from a body of water, perhaps a lake or a section of the sea. This newly asserted land lies entirely below the surrounding water level. To keep the water out, this polder is always fully or partially surrounded by an embankment, a protective earthen wall that gently holds back the water, whether it originates from the vastness of the sea or the steady flow of a river. These polders are not just dry land. They are carefully managed hydrological systems intricately woven into the landscape. Within these polders, you find an elaborate and sophisticated network of drainage canals and pumps. Think of it as the circulatory system of the land, constantly working to manage the water levels within its boundaries. These canals gather excess water, collecting the rains and any seepage that finds its way in. The pumps, operating tirelessly, then dispose of this excess water, carefully lifting it over the encircling embankments and running it back to the sea or the river from which it was originally taken. It's a continuous, meticulously choreographed ballet between human engineering and natural flow, ensuring that the water does not run over land and inundate homes and fields. The purpose of these polders is profoundly practical and deeply human-centered. They are designed to protect precious houses, fertile farms, and bustling factories, safeguarding the very fabric of daily life and economic prosperity. As such, these intricate systems are used extensively throughout the country, forming the very foundation upon which much of the Netherlands' modern existence is built. They are a testament to the idea that land can be created and safely maintained even in the most challenging of watery environments. But the Dutch wisdom extends beyond the ingenious polder. They have also skillfully built dams, grand structures that hold back the sea and control river flows, and they have masterfully utilized natural sand dunes, reinforcing and shaping them to create natural barriers and elevated pathways to stay dry in their naturally swampy land. They have learned to read the landscape, to understand the flow of water, and to adapt their built environment to coexist with these powerful forces, rather than perpetually fighting an uphill battle. This approach, this profound wisdom forged over centuries, shows us that there are indeed ways in which we can observe nature and live alongside it. It's a philosophy that recognizes the inherent power of water not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a dynamic entity with which we must find a respectful coexistence. It's about flowing with the current rather than trying to stem the tide with sheer force. It suggests that adaptation is not just about building higher walls, but about understanding the very nature of the challenge and designing solutions that harmonize with it. The Dutch experience serves as a powerful testament to human resilience and the profound power of collective wisdom. It's a story of generations learning, innovating, and working together to overcome a fundamental geographical challenge. Their success is not merely in building physical structures, but in fostering a deep cultural understanding of their relationship with water, embedding this wisdom into their planning, their education, and their very way of life. Imagine for a moment the shift in mindset required to embrace such a philosophy. Instead of seeing a flood as a catastrophic defeat, it becomes a challenge to be managed, a natural occurrence, to be integrated into the design of daily life. The waters are not merely kept out. They are acknowledged, understood, and at times even welcomed into carefully designated areas where their presence serves a purpose, perhaps as temporary reservoirs or recreational spaces. This living with water approach also involves a continuous process of learning and adaptation. The Dutch are not complacent. They are constantly monitoring, researching, and innovating. As sea levels rise and climatic patterns shift, they evolve their strategies, building smarter, more flexible defenses that can respond to changing conditions. It's a dynamic relationship, a constant dialogue between humanity and its watery environment. Consider the contrast between simply building ever higher walls and the comprehensive, integrated Dutch approach. A single static wall can be breached, overtopped, or undermined, but a network of polders, canals, pumps, dams, and managed natural features creates a multi-layered defense, a flexible system that can absorb shocks and distribute pressure. It's like building a strong, resilient fishing net rather than a brittle, unyielding wall to hold back the ocean. And what can we in other coastal regions around the world learn from this profound wisdom? We can learn the importance of holistic planning, of viewing our cities and landscapes as interconnected systems rather than isolated components. We can learn the value of green infrastructure, integrating natural solutions like dunes and floodplains into our urban planning. We can learn the profound benefits of water management, understanding how to channel, store, and release water in ways that protect communities rather than overwhelming them. The Dutch experience whispers a powerful truth that adaptation is not just about reacting to a crisis, but about proactively shaping our relationship with our environment. It's about foresight, about investment, and about a collective commitment to long-term resilience. It suggests that the future of coastal communities, especially in the face of amplified lunar tides and rising sea levels, will depend not just on our technological prowess, but on our wisdom to work with the powerful natural forces that define our planet. This philosophy also speaks to a deeper respect for nature, a recognition that while humanity can build and engineer, it can never truly conquer the vast elemental forces of the Earth and the cosmos. Instead, wisdom lies in understanding these forces, finding harmony with them, and designing our lives in a way that acknowledges their enduring power. So the story of the Netherlands is not just a tale of engineering marvels. It is a profound philosophical statement. It tells us that even when faced with overwhelming challenges, humanity's innate creativity and drive can find solutions that are both effective and beautiful. It's a hopeful narrative reminding us that while the bad news of the moon's potentially overwhelming power lurks behind its ethereal beauty, there are always pathways forward, forged by understanding and a willingness to adapt. It is a comforting thought, isn't it? To know that complex problems, like the amplified lunar cycle converging with rising sea levels, can be approached with wisdom and foresight. The solutions may not always be simple, but they are within our grasp if we choose to embrace them. The Dutch have shown us a way, a path towards living with water rather than just living beside it. And this lesson, born from centuries of intimate coexistence with the sea, is perhaps one of the most vital insights we can carry forward as we contemplate the challenges of the mid-2030s. It empowers us not with fear, but with a sense of purpose and a clear direction for action. It's about building a future that is resilient, sustainable, and deeply respectful of the planet we call home. We have journeyed far tonight, carried on the gentle whispers of the moon through ancient rhythms and future predictions. We have explored the intricate dance of celestial bodies, the vulnerability of our coastlines, the resilience of specific ecosystems, and the ingenuity of human adaptation. As we approach the quiet close of our reflection, it is time to draw together these threads of understanding, to listen intently to the final message echoing from our lunar companion. The sobering truth, the so-called bad news, we must acknowledge with quiet humility, is that behind its ethereal beauty, our moon truly hides a profound power. This is a power that, if precisely combined with Earth's changing climate and rising sea levels is indeed poised to overwhelm humanity's coastal settlements in the coming decades. This isn't a threat born of malice, but rather a natural consequence of powerful forces converging a cosmic rhythm, reaching an amplified crescendo in a world already transformed. The relentless creep of the tides, magnified by the lunar nodal cycle, riding atop higher global sea levels, presents a challenge that demands our full attention and deepest respect. Yet even within this stark realization, there is always a bit of what we might call good news. And this good news arrives in the form of knowledge. Knowledge in its purest essence is a power of its own. It is the steady lamp that illuminates the path forward, even through the densest fog of uncertainty. By understanding our plight, by truly grasping the intricate interplay of forces at play, we unlock the very first and most crucial step towards finding solutions. This understanding removes the blindfold of ignorance, allowing us to see the challenge clearly not as an insurmountable monster, but as a complex puzzle inviting our collective ingenuity. To truly understand our plight means to comprehend the delicate ballet between the moon's orbit and its shifting nodes, the sun's gravitational influence, the historical echoes of past floods, the vulnerability of delicate salt marshes, and the transformative power of climate change. It means recognizing that our planet is a vast interconnected system where a subtle celestial wobble can have profound cascading effects on the lives of millions. This comprehensive awareness is our greatest asset, far more potent than any single defense wall or technological fix. And where do we find these solutions? Once we possess this knowledge, we look both among already existing ideas and within the vast unexplored territory of ways forward that have yet to be discovered. We turn to the wisdom of nature, observing how resilient ecosystems like mangroves have learned to thrive in fluctuating conditions, offering themselves as living shields. We learn from the centuries of experience embedded in cultures like the Dutch, who have mastered the art of living with water, designing infrastructure that harmonizes with its flow rather than defiantly resisting it. These are not just isolated examples. They are powerful blueprints, living laboratories of adaptation. But the solutions are not confined to what we already know. The challenge before us also serves as a profound invitation for innovation and discovery. It calls upon our innate creativity as human beings, that spark within us that drives us to imagine, to invent, to transcend perceived limitations. It taps into our fundamental drive to adapt and survive, a primal instinct that has allowed our species to flourish through countless challenges across millennia. This is not a time for despair, but for the activation of our deepest human capacities. Imagine the human spirit, resilient and endlessly inventive, rising to meet this monumental task. Can we design new forms of architecture that embrace the water rather than fear it? Can we cultivate new types of coastal ecosystems that thrive in amplified tidal conditions, creating even more robust natural defenses? Can we harness technology in ways that allow us to predict, with even greater precision, to manage water with unprecedented efficiency, and to build communities that are not just safe, but vibrant and ecologically integrated? The answer surely lies within our collective capacity for wonder and ingenuity. The overarching message, the profound call from the moon itself is this: if we are to endure what is coming, if we are to safeguard our coastal communities and the precious ecosystems that support them, it is high time for us to fundamentally shift our approach. It is time for us to wholeheartedly commit to working with our planet, rather than persistently fighting against it. This is a philosophical turning point, a recognition that the era of attempting to dominate nature with brute force must yield to an era of respectful partnership and intelligent coexistence. Working with our planet means understanding its rhythms, respecting its power, and designing our human endeavors in harmony with its natural processes. It means investing in green infrastructure that enhances natural resilience, rather than solely relying on gray infrastructure that might be brittle in the face of escalating forces. It means fostering a culture of adaptation, where flexibility and foresight are valued as highly as strength and control. It implies a deeper, more profound relationship with the Earth, seeing ourselves not as separate masters, but as integrated parts of a vast living system. This approach acknowledges that the moon will continue its ancient dance, that the tides will continue their rhythmic breath, and that sea levels will continue their ascent due to climate change. These are powerful, undeniable forces. But by understanding them, by embracing solutions that align with them, we can build a future that is not defined by constant struggle, but by sustainable coexistence and flourishing resilience. The moon. Our silent witness has seen civilizations rise and fall. It has watched as our planet has changed, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically. And now, in its particular alignment in the mid-2030s, it offers us a profound invitation. It is a call to awaken to the realities of our interconnected world, to leverage our deepest capacities for understanding and creativity, and to forge a path forward that honors both human aspirations and planetary well-being. So, as the gentle music of our exploration begins to fade and the quiet contemplation deepens, let us carry this message forward. The challenges are real, but so too are the solutions waiting to be embraced by open minds and willing hearts. The journey of adaptation is not a burden. It is an opportunity, a chance to redefine our relationship with the planet, to build a future that is more resilient, more harmonious, and more beautiful. Consider for a final moment the sheer wonder of it all. The distant moon, millions of years old, still guiding the tides, still influencing the very life on our Earth. And us human beings, with our brief lives, yet capable of such profound understanding, such remarkable adaptation. It is a story of cosmic rhythms and earthly ingenuity woven together in a grand ongoing narrative. And we are each of us a part of that story with the power to shape its next chapter. The stars above continue their silent ancient dance. The ocean below continues its rhythmic breath. And in between, we, the inhabitants of this blue marble, are invited to listen, to learn, and to adapt. To work with our planet, not against it, creating a future where the whispers of the moon bring not fear, but a deeper understanding of our place in the vast, wondrous cosmos.